Welcome back to the Uninkable Dads podcast with myself, Grandad Glenn, and with me as always, the man that puts the boss into Gym Boss. Some say he's the best Lorcana player at the 2-round format. It is FPS Madness. We've got a packed podcast for you today, and we've had all the announcements, so we're going to be going into those. We'll tell you about how our weekend at Set Champs went. And we've got an exclusive interview with the player who won our local Set Champs. Fantastic player, lovely guy. So stick around for that because he's got some absolute gems to share with you. But first, we'll sort of recap our week in the ink. And last week, you attempted to jinx yourself into a win at our locals FPS Madness. So
I did.
How did that go for you?
It was okay. I mean, technically I didn't break the jinx, but I did at the same time. So, anyone who didn't manage to tune into last week, so basically for the last 6 weeks, I have gone 2-0, 2-0 in the first 2 rounds and ended up top seed going into the third game, undefeated, and then somehow managed to mess it up in the last game. I've either taken a draw, I've run out of time, I've been beaten a couple of times, and just never been able to finish it off. And
See,
this week,
told you, best player in the world at the 2-round format.
Yeah, apart from, when I did DLC and I just got 9 draws, but, we won't talk about that. So, yeah, it was good. I did really well. Started off strong, 7th week in a row, 2-0, 2-0. This is looking good. And then I get the man, the myth, the legend himself. And no matter how fast we play, 2 Ruby Amethyst mirrors, we're never finishing that in time. So it went down to a draw. But this time around, I got the percentages. So I got a top seed. So yeah, I finished first. I still technically haven't done the free 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. But there is always Friday.
There is. And it was a hell of a game. I mean, it really was a hell of a game, wasn't it? So we were 1-1. There was 5 minutes left plus turns. You can't play Ruby Amethyst versus Ruby Amethyst in 5 minutes. Well, what did we get to?
18 and 16, I think it was.
18 and 16? Absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't think I've ever played Blitz Lorcana quite like that. But we gave it our all to try and finish the game.
Down, turn it sideways, double castle, and hope for the best. Yeah, it was good. It was unfortunately. I think that's one of the ones we're always going to have issues with. Obviously, our player base, no one, it's like anything Friday night, no one can ever get out of work and get going early, so we do start slightly later, which then means that the rounds are, I think they're 40 or 45. So if it was a 55-minute round, we would do it. But because they're shorter, you're going to get the draws. But I don't actually mind it because then, we did Set Champ Saturday, and I thought, I've got loads of time. You play your first game, and you think, oh, God, I've got 15, 20 minutes left. You look at the time, and you're like, oh, I've still got 35. Right, okay, we can, take our time. And so I think us playing shorter rounds on a Friday is actually a good thing because when it does come to playing in the longer, proper tournament sort of length rounds, actually seems like you got it forever. So it was actually quite nice. So yeah.
And if you want to try Blitz Lorcana, I mean, I would recommend it if you.
Yeah, it is. It's basic. Take a very heavy control deck and try play aggro with it. It's great fun. How was your week? How was Friday?
Obviously, so Friday was good. I mean, met you in the. What was I playing with? So I'd gone back to Ruby Amethyst. It went all right. I was playing a slightly more aggro version of Ruby Amethyst. I was pleased that not just fact I won the first 2 rounds, but sort of who I won them against, and they were very, very tight rounds. But so it was good. So had a really good night. They were all really good games.
Well, it worked out quite well, didn't it? Because we played our last round in obviously the draw. We played it as an aggro game, fast as possible, and then you had 2 very good rounds at the start of Saturday, didn't you? So Set Champs on Saturday, and what were your first 2 games?
So I played Amber Steel Aggro, followed by Amber Steel Aggro.
One of them you created, and one of them I created.
I played the Uninkable kids back to back. So the 2 people in the room that I really didn't want to face to be honest, for
Yeah.
a number of reasons, because I don't want to get beaten by them, and I don't want to beat them either.
No.
To be fair, I want to see that they both did very well. Scared me to absolute death. So especially you've been sort of giving a few tips to Millie on the way up there in the car, and she listened to them so well, and sat there against me one game with me thinking this is fine. I can just pick stuff off. I can value trade, and she just sat there and went, "Well, I'm not going to turn anything sideways." And I'm like, "Hang on, you're an aggro deck." And she built this board, and I thought I'm still okay because she can turn it. She's got to turn it at some point in the next 2 turns, because otherwise I can get to B prep. And then she just dropped Gantu on the end of this massive line of stuff, and I just went, "Oh, you quest for game next turn," and I can't interact with that board. But yeah, and there's a tip actually if you're playing set champs, because I let it get to me, I think, and I think I was rattled by how close those games were. I was rattled by I made a couple of silly misplays against my granddaughter, against Lily, but really my mindset should have been, this is what I tech my deck for, to make sure that I got through these, and I did. Yeah, I scraped through both of them 2-1, but I got through them and I won them both. But I kind of let that carry on with me, I think, and then didn't do so well in the other rounds. But it was a great day. It was a really varied range of decks out there. So yeah, it was really good fun. And yourself, because I think you came up against a few different decks as well.
Yeah, mine was a bit of a mixture day. It was. I'm struggling to remember who I played now, but I should have written it down. It was Amstel game 1. Very good player, and I had every single answer. He played a aerial, I had a brawl in hand. He played a daisy, I had a crab. It was just everything that he did, I managed to answer it. I B-prepped with when he only had 1 card on board, just because I was worried of the whole new world. He played the shift aerial, but he didn't have anything else. So he had 2 cards in hand. One he kept for a couple of turns, and then he top decked the aerial. And this is a tip that I've seen online, and I can see why people do it now. Is when you pick up a card from your top deck, even if you've only got 1 other in your hand, give them a mix. Just sit there and mix them in your hand for a second, because then it doesn't look like you pick up your top card and put it down, which is exactly what he did, which then made me think, right, you must have Holy World as your other card. There's no way you would just instantly put the other one down unless you don't want to play that card. I've got 2 characters on board. If it was a Zeus, you could play it. If it was a Song, you could play it. The only thing you wouldn't play in this situation would be Strength or Honeywell. And I was like, if it's Honeywell, I can't afford for you to be singing this. So I literally B-prepped when he had 1 card on, because I was like, I can't afford for it to sit there. So I did that, and it turned out at the end it was. So it was the right decision. But yeah, it was one of those ones, everything he did, I just didn't answer for it. So I managed to win that 2-0. And then I played Haaland. Good game. Wasn't expecting him to be playing Ruby Amethyst. I mulliganed heavy in the first one to try and get Brawl, trying to get a few answers to his early game and sort of get ready. I was looking for Maui and bits and bobs. And then he went, I play Chernobog. I'm like, what? What do you mean you play Chernobog? No, this isn't your deck. You can't do that. So yeah, that threw me off massively. So he won game 1, and then a massive misplay by me in game 2. I finished on 18 lore. He got to 20. And in the game, I forgot to quest with 2 brooms before banishing them. So I would have made it to 20. But, you learn from these things. So always quest with your brooms before you banish them. Yeah, it was good. Apart from that, I then sort of went up and down. I played against Lily, sorry. And it shows that my deck wasn't teched for aggro, and yours was, because you survived the battle and I didn't. It was an absolute onslaught. It was double Daisy followed by something else, and I was just like, and then I got all the way up to 1 game. I got ready to be prep. So I even challenged him with something to what did I change in with? I did something, got the board ready. I was like, next time I'll be prepping. And she top decked Pete, and I was like, well, that's game. And then next game, I was like, right, even better. I've got Sisu. Everything on her side's free, apart from one thing, which is Smee. He's a 4. He's a free. Sorry, everything on her side was a 2 strength, apart from one thing that was Smee. I was like, I can deal with Smee. That's no issue. Played out little Sisu on turn 5. I was like, not too early. She can't get rid of it. And then she played strength, got rid of Sisu, and I was like, yeah, well, let's go. Because I can't shift now and I can't answer it. So, yeah, she played really well. My deck wasn't tech for aggro, so my hope was not to draw into it in the first couple of rounds, and then my deck would be stronger later. Probably the wrong decision, but it was a risk I took, and it backfired on me. So, yeah, it was good, though. I still enjoyed the day. It was a nice day, and nice to see all our locals there, and it was a Blurple final, which I did not see coming. Obviously,
so the
more
top
in
4
that with the interview later, but yeah,
because the top four was Ruby Amethyst versus Blurple, Ruby Amethyst versus Blurple, wasn't it? And the final was an all Blurple.
Yeah, it was a surprise. I mean, we sat as a surprise. We sat there and said Ruby Amethyst and Purple were the 2 strongest decks, and oh look, surprise, that's what made top 4. So we're right on some stage. Maybe they were listening to us again. See, everyone listens to us, and then they start playing them.
It's getting out there. So yeah, so this is coming out before Saturday, right? So yeah, definitely Amber Sapphire. That's the deck you'll need to be playing, especially if you're at Southend.
Yeah. If you're going to Southend, just
take
play
Amber Sapphire.
Yeah, Amber Sapphire. Nothing that quests more than 1. You know, you don't want these 3 and 4 questers. They're no good for you. Just things that quest for 1, 2 strength that dies to swords. Perfect. It is up to you. Yeah, so obviously with the Purple final, we do have the finalist here with us. So we will move across to our interview with him now, and then after the interview, we'll be going into the latest news from Lorecast.
So we have Ade with us. Ade won our local set champs on Saturday. So first day of the set champ seasons, and walked away with the champion Matt. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, Ade.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
No worries. Thanks. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, we've got a few questions. We'd like to find out a little bit about you first of all. So I mean, what's your sort of TCG background, Ade? Is Lorcana your first TCG, or have you played other games before?
I've played other games before. Unfortunately, the main one being the one that has a bit of a bad rep, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! So I played that for, I want to say, probably about 15 years. I take sort of any game that I play quite competitively, whether it be like video games or TCGs. So I did like try to compete, never like topped any events or anything like that, but I was always sort of, trying to get all the staples and everything like that to like kit out my deck and things like that. And I suppose the only other closest thing that I've played is like Hearthstone when that came out for a little bit. So not quite a TCG, but still sort of in the same realm. Nice. Yu-Gi-Oh! Being the main one.
Awesome. And when did you come into Lorcana?
So I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until COVID. Then COVID hit and I sort of just stopped playing. And then played for about a year. And then literally as soon as Lorcana came out, I was like, you know what? I love Disney. And I just enjoyed the TCGs in general. So I was like, I'm definitely going to give this a go. And I just fully committed into it. So yeah, I'm proper day one Lorcana baby. Been there since the start. I'm at LGS every day since release, like to literally just keep playing. So yeah, day one.
Nice. What are your locals? What's your?
So I've just recently moved. So my locals at the moment is the Movie Shack in Bexley Heath.
Oh, okay.
So they got a really friendly community. Actually, they've been really welcoming since I've moved. They're much more like casual scene than what I'm used to. So before I moved, I went to Brotherhood Games, which is in London. So I'm sure quite a lot of people have heard of them as well. They're like fully competitive. They do have like casual nights, but their main thing is they breed winners in like all the TCGs they do. So they're close friends with some of the people that are topped. Lille, so like Reese, who came second place in Lille, like very close friend of mine, pretty much a brother.
Yeah, I've been down to Brotherhood a few times myself. I'm in their Discord and bits and bobs as well.
Oh, nice,
So,
yeah. Have you been there? You've been there before as well?
Yeah. I've been
So
4 or
you
5
know
times.
what it's like as well. It's like proper hardcore. Every deck you sit against is going to be like a meta deck, fully kitted out. It's got, it's mental.
Definitely. So, what made you decide to take Blurple to set champs?
So, Blurple for me, I've always played Blue Steel since set 1, actually. And obviously since the ban, it is borderline unplayable. I won't say it's completely unplayable, but it is borderline unplayable. And one of the reasons that I like Blue Steel was because it wasn't quite full on ramp control. It was kind of like an in between. So you sort of like have a mid range ramp deck. And I do like a bit of ramp and then a bit of control. And the only other deck that I've actually ever played at a locals is Blurple. And it was the most fun I'd ever had outside of Blue Steel. And that was 2 sets ago that I played it as well. So I hadn't actually played it on paper for like 2 whole sets. And I was like, you know what, Blue Steel is effectively not working right now. Let me go to Blurple. I had a lot of fun with it. And then looking at sort of other Discords and like tournaments, it was actually doing really well. So I just put it together, played a few games on certain apps that we won't name, but played a few games on those, and they were just it was working really well. Made a few changes to some of the lists that I'd seen, specifically for like a set champs sort of scene. And that's sort of what made me take it. A lot of cards in there that I love as well. Like I love Beauty and the Beast, and also you got like Bells, and I love Hercules, and you got Hades, and you got the Gaston. So I'm proper Disney buff when it comes to things. I get drawn into colors sometimes just based off of the characters in them.
Awesome. No, it is. It's a very strong deck. It was one that I looked at. I think it was the last set I played a little bit of Blurple, but I don't know what it was. I think with obviously when you got Harim, you try and fit that in there, and it was just that little bit awkward. And I think after that's had its ban, it does kind of just feel a bit more consistent than it was.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's definitely obviously got a good chance and good hopes out there because I think it's done quite well and been atop of quite a few. I mean, the last game was a Blurple Mirror in the final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. That wasn't fun at all. But another thing with this deck is as well. I don't own Maui Sharks. And I did want to play Red Blue. Just 'cause I thought it was the best deck, but then I don't own Maui Sharks, and I was like, I don't really want to handicap myself by playing Red Blue with like not at like max power.
Yeah.
So this was like a nice in between as well.
Cool.
Nice.
You said you sort of teched it for the meta. I mean, what were you expecting to sort of come up against at the set champs?
So I know there's like a lot of aggro at set champs, and there's a lot of steel song as well. So there was like a few things. This deck, it doesn't do well against wide boards. I just wanted some sort of earlier stuff to help with that. So that's why I included the Merlin Crabs. A lot of people were cutting them, and I could understand why. A lot of people were sort of kitting out the deck for what do we expect to see at the top tables. And it was more like Ruby Amethyst and Red Blue as well, the top tables. So it's like, well, you don't really need crabs in those matchups, so let's just put in other cards that we're going to play right after we ramp. I know set champs you get quite a bit of aggro. Lady and the Tramp deck, like Churner Dog's been coming up quite a bit. So I was like, I don't want to only have Fox to like bounce the Tipo to get rid of stuff. I want to just have more opportunity to open with something that can get rid of a Daisy or things like that.
It gives you a bit of an option, doesn't it? Because like you say, it's all good teching for the top table, but you got to get there first. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's an inkable. So I always say, like, if it's a tech card that's inkable, it's worth playing. So it's the same with McDuck Manor. Obviously, Ruby Amethyst sort of showing up now as well with the evasive sort of version. And McDuck Manor's really punching into B prep. I sort of like trusted my ability to be able to like take the board against like most like players that I've played against, and then force them to B prep me so I can drop the manas. And it happened a few times actually on the weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, McDuck Manas are in there as well. There's probably a few changes I'd make following on from the weekend, and that'd be one of them. But it worked out, so I can't complain too much.
Do you want to talk us through some of your choices in this deck and what did work well on the weekend?
Yeah, sure. So the crab worked really well, like in the early games. So I went against like green purple my first game, and crab was just like really good. My main qualm with Elsa, like as powerful as it is after it gets its initial exert off, it seems a bit underwhelming against like the higher like statted characters. And crab just sort of made me able to like utilize Elsa a bit more after the fact. Iago, yeah, it's crazy stupid card. It's like so well statted. I like quickly again. I hadn't played too many games with this deck. Like I played maybe a handful of games online, and I came to realize like how powerful it was to just go ramp on two into Iago, and then if you've got an Elsa, you're pretty much going to exert a character and get rid of it straight away with Iago just because it's so well statted. Or the alternative is if they decide to quest, you're going to crash in with Iago and you're going to play the bell and move damage and then get rid of like two characters potentially. And I was just like, oh my god, like I don't understand why I've been playing Genie on turn 4 over like Iago on turn 4. This is just insane. So yeah, Iago is also one of those cards I feel like if you're not playing it and your opponent is, you feel very disadvantaged just because it's such a bulky character. Not like a fan of the character itself. I like cards that do stuff, like that have abilities, and it doesn't really have one. But yeah, it's just so bulky that if your opponent's on it and you're not, you just feel like you can't do anything. Gaston,
I mean, especially with the threat of bell, I suppose you only have to ink it once, or they see it once and they know it's there.
Exactly. Exactly. And only being on the 2 bell, I was like really careful with when I was inking it as well. Elsa, yeah, just crazy good card. Gaston, it's just good to go into turn 6 and find what you think you'll need the turn after. So I'm very much playing with things like 2 to 3 turns ahead, or even further ahead if I can. And sort of Gaston being able to find a Finder's Keepers if I've missed on my friends on the other side, or being able to find a Hades because I know, I'm going to need it against Red-Blue because they're going to drop Maui Shark, and I'm just going to keep stacking these Hades in my hand for when that happens. Yeah, really good card. I used to play this card a lot in Blue Steel when it was like a Develop Your Brain and Gaston deck. So I was like able to track cards as well, and even in the finals, I was telling my opponent, "Well, I know in 2 cards time I'm going to find this," and they were just kind of like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't ask me how. It's just a lifetime of playing Lorcana at this point and tracking my cards." So yeah, Gaston was really really good. Hades again, just crazy good card, especially into Red Blue. Just you literally just hold this for Maui Shark. Rarely am I using it on a Sisu unless I feel like the game's running away from me. Yeah, those two partnered up really, really well throughout the day.
Nice.
And the top 8, you mentioned the top tables. It was pretty amethyst heavy. So I've got the list here. So 3 Blurple, 3 Ruby Amethyst, a Purple Steel, and a Steel Song in the top 8. So yeah, did you feel that this, obviously played well into the Amethyst meta?
For sure. Just the draw engine in Amethyst is so good. So seeing that there was a lot of Amethyst, I felt comfortable that I was on the same draw package as they were. I wasn't going to fall behind or anything like that. And being able to ramp to Finders Keepers sort of kept me ahead of like the Ruby Amethyst matchup for sure. The Ruby Amethyst player was actually Harlan. And I played him in Swiss and then played him in Top Cut as well. And yeah, the only reason I won, to be honest, was because of the manners. Just forced him into a position where he had to be prep and then drop in the manners. But yeah, the amount of cards I had in hand, I'm calling it Exodia. Just when you open like a Porp School Bell and you get friends on the other side. So I opened Exodia against him a couple of times, and it was just ridiculous. Like you just get such a big hand advantage that you almost can't not find the answers that you need. And then I played against Ali, his partner, who was on Purple Steel. That was probably my hardest matchup throughout the day. She wasn't on aggro, she was on mid range, but Steel obviously makes Iago kind of useless because they can just ping it. She Strength of the Rage and fired it for 1 damage in one of our games. And I was just like, great, that is fantastic. So yeah, every game against her was like a 2-1. And yeah, they were always close games just because Purple Steel just gains lore so quickly. But that was for sure my hardest matchup on the day. And then the Blurple Mirror. I'm not a fan of mirror matches in TCGs. don't find them enjoyable. But I mean, if you're going to play the best decks, you're bound to run into them at some point.
Yeah.
But it just turned into basically just like a clobber fest of I'm gonna Hades your Hades, and then no, I'm gonna Hades your Hades, and then no, well, I'm gonna bounce my Hades so that when you play your next Hades, and that's all it was. It was just tracking how many Hades does the other person have left. And the only reason I won was because I managed to get the Iago down before he did. So yeah, turn 4 Iago, he went for a turn 4 Genie, and it was that same line of play Elsa, trade off his Genie. That literally just swings the tempo so far in your favor. At that point, you just play friends on the other side for free the next turn because you've won the board.
Mm-hmm.
And if you draw into friends on the other side, you can then just draw even more cards. Or what's really good about this deck, this particular build, is if you find a Porpskull, you can just play Porpskull and then pop it with the bells that you find. So you're drawing all these cards and you're not losing any board presence because you're essentially playing all these cards for free.
Yeah, it's really nice with the bell shift as well.
Yeah.
You can catch a few people out.
Yeah.
It's a nice one. One card I was surprised because when I played around with this list, I was tempted to put in was Cogsworth. Did you not think he potentially, or was he a little bit too not quite right in Blurple?
I told one of my friends actually because he's thinking of taking Blurple, and I said if you know the set champ you're going to is going to be very steel heavy, then it's probably worth putting in the Cogsworth. There's like a few flex spots here, so if some people aren't playing the Crab, I think like it's such a good card. I don't think I would cut it, but like the McDuck Manor for sure is a flex spot, and you could probably get rid of a Gaston. But I think those are like the ones where you're like, what am I going to see on the day? And you play it. But yeah, Cogsworth would be really good. The only reason I didn't put it in is I've never been to that Geek Retreat before. So I was like, what if I walk in and there's just a room full of red-blue players and I'm just going to get Sisu on repeat? Cogsworth doesn't do much. The card that I was thinking of playing instead of the mana was 6-drop Tamatoa, the new one.
Oh, yeah.
Just to add even more card draw. And again, it's the same idea of you can play him, get your Porpskulls back, and then play Bells for free if you've got them in your hand. So even after a B prep, instead of dropping a mana, you suddenly have 2 characters on board. But yeah, I think if you know what your meta is going to be at set champs, I would say the manas and like maybe one Gaston is probably your flex spots where you can just say, I know what I'm going to see, so I'm going to play X card.
Nice.
Cool. So I'm fishing for tips now because I don't know what to play. I don't know what to play on Saturday. So, have you got any tips if someone wants to pick up Blurple and look to play it? Because I think it's an easy deck to play particularly. Is it?
I think it's difficult in the sense of players aren't used to drawing cards with an action versus like drawing cards with a song, if that makes sense. So like obviously a lot of people are used to playing friends and then you still got all the ink to play a character, singing Whole New World, or like playing Rapunzel is obviously that you play a character but you get your cards back. I think a lot of players sort of get stumped with when can I play Finders Keepers and it doesn't feel horrible. But like I said, this deck wins that sort of early board so well that it's a lot of the time as soon as you get to 5 ink or as soon as you get to turn 5, which will be on 6 ink, you can just play the Finders Keepers. It's okay to take a turn off to draw cards if you're in like a matchup that's like quite slow. So like even Ruby Amethyst, obviously they gain like sort of 1 and 2 lore here, but they're not going to suddenly explode out of nowhere with questing for 5 or 6. So like don't be afraid to, after you've got board control, to just play Finders Keepers and take a turn off. Especially with Hades as well. Next turn you can literally just play Hades or exert stuff with Elsa and take the board back again. So that's like the main thing that I've been hearing is like, when do you play Finders Keepers? Another thing is don't get baited by the Porp's Bell in your opening hand. If you don't have ramp, you will not be able to play the game. I think in one of my games on the weekend, I missed ramp and I passed the first 3 turns because I didn't have a 3-drop either. I didn't have the crab. The crab is the only 3-drop that you can actually play. So yeah, that was not a fun feeling, and that was because I was greedy and tried to stick with Exodia, and I was like, well, if I just draw friends on the other side, this is going to be crazy. And it just did not happen. So yeah, don't get baited by opening Porp Spell. If you know your matchup, so I'd say game 2 and 3, if you know your matchup and you're like, okay, you know what, like just having a belt on board is going to save me enough, then maybe it's worth the risk. But yeah, I'd say in general, don't get baited. Always look for that turn 2 ramp, because you've got so many 4-drops as well. One of my games I just won by turn 4, I just played a mana. And that was it. They just couldn't get rid of it. And then I just managed to like stall the game for long enough with them trying to get rid of it that I got to my like Gastons and Hades. So yeah, always Mole 7 for turn 2 ramp.
Cool. So we've got a question that we like to ask all of our guests. It was raised by one of our viewers in the early days of the podcast. So, if you were a soup, what soup would you be?
Okay, so I've thought about this quite extensively, and I even asked my partner, because I was like, "How many actual soups are there? Like, how many do I have to choose from?" And so I've gone with the most boring answer, but there is a reason behind it. So I've gone with just bog standard tin tomato soup.
Okay.
But the reason is, I think the thing that makes tomato soup so good is the fact that it's so basic that like you can have like a variety of breads with it to like make the meal.
Okay.
So in the same sense of, you could just be a bog standard dude who just comes to set champs. It's not about, how you look or what you go in feeling. It's, your bread is essentially your deck, and that is what is going to make your day. So that's like the metaphor I've gone with.
Nice. I like it. It. It's better than I got to admit. I think you put a bit more thought into it than Harlan's. I like veg. I'll go with mushroom.
I like veg. Did he go mushroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to let him live that down the next time I see him. A poor answer.
Absolutely. And obviously we've had pretty exciting week in Lorcana this week. So as well as set champs, we had the next chapter. I'm going to call it the Lorecast. I prefer the Lorecast, to be honest. But so we had all the announcements yesterday. Obviously, one of the big ones that everyone's talking about is rotation. So, what are your thoughts on rotation?
So again, the only TCG I played before this was Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh operate on a ban list, so they don't do rotation. The downside that we see with Yu-Gi-Oh and a ban list, I mean, it still has a really big player base, but like the power creep and the cards are just at an insane level now, and you spend, as if you're a new player, you spend more time reading the cards than actually playing the game. But the one thing I've always liked about Yu-Gi-Oh is that there's always a chance that the card that's been banned comes back, and you don't feel like you've lost the ability to play the majority of the cards that you currently own.
Right.
So that was like one of my fears, and a lot of my friends actually play like multiple TCGs, where they obviously have rotation like Pokemon and Magic, and they've said it's a good and healthy thing, and I definitely see that. The game for a while now is sort of like a lot of the same decks. Like a new set comes out, and there's maybe like 2-3 cards you change. Like prime example would be Tipo came in, and you just got rid of one jump ahead and played Tipo. Or then like Sail came out, and you just replace that. So I think it will create more a wider variety of decks, or even if they're the same colors, at least there'll be different cards and different abilities, and maybe different win conditions and different like game plans and things like that. So
it'll take people time to readjust on it. You have a big, when a new set comes out, you get a little bit of readjustment, but this is going to cause quite a big disruption, and it's going to take a good few weeks for it to settle down.
For sure. I think a lot of people would be scared as well. It's like, I've put all this money into these cards. But one of the other things about rotation is it kind of keeps the value of cards down, because they're going to be rotated out in, how was it, a year? I think they've said it's going to be.
Yeah, so I think when I did the maths, I think the minimum is 16 months.
Yeah.
So, and then the maximum is just over 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. So prices aren't going to stay crazy high on a card that is going to be not playable in like the main constructed like tournament. That's the way it is. And obviously then you also have reprints. So I think we saw today, or I think I saw it online today, Maleficent Dragons getting reprinted in set 9. So even though it's going to be a set chance promo, it's also going to be reprinted in the packs. So the price of that, if it's not gone down now, it probably will go down at some point. So it allows for people who maybe don't have as much disposable income to play, but then also for newer players to jump into the game at any point. You don't have a new person going, I can't play the game because I can't get Rapunzel. It just doesn't exist. Like, no one's getting rid of their playset. Everyone's just sitting there waiting for the time they want to play it. So I think all in all, it'll be healthy. I think it'll just take time for players to adjust.
No, sounds good.
Oh, that Maleficent looks good.
It does, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
I think that is going to be the chaser set champs card. I think everyone will probably. I know people get a lot of not abuse, let's say negative feedback about traveling to many like set champs with like their friends. But I think this is probably a card where it would be very justifiable for people to travel around to try and get a play sale because
this is going to be a sellout. Set champs and that pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should be as well. I think the card should be not just a card you like get for a collection, because a lot of them have been sort of like more collector's items. They've not really been playable. I think outside of the Ursula, they've not really been too playable. But I feel like if you've worked hard and you put the effort in to get one of these, I think like it should be a card that you can put into your deck and actually use competitively.
Yeah, also I think it's going to be the first set champs card that doesn't belong to that set. Obviously, it's a reprint, but it's technically a set 1 card.
Yeah.
So that opens up the chances of them picking cards that are more impactful, but not necessarily belong to that set. So we might see like stuff from like the middle, sort of not right at the start, but you're going to see, say, set 6 potentially and set 10, which will give them a chance to actually pick cards that are being played. They're not ridiculously expensive, but actually cards people want to use. So it could be interesting
for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll add that edge back to the set champs, because the last couple of, it's always good to get out and meet people and play and compete. But yeah, having a room full of people that are just really, really itching to get their hands on that card will just add that edge back to it that I think it needs.
Yeah, I think the mat as well. Like, obviously now they've only gone down to 1 mat. Again, this is like a kind of iconic Lorcana card because it's from set 1 and it was so impactful for so long. I feel like the mat will be very, very sought after.
And I can imagine the art's going to be quite nice on it as well. So I think it's definitely going to be. It's going to be. There's not going to be a roll of dice to find out who wins that match. I don't think.
No chance.
And no one chopping it into 4, as I saw.
Oh God, that made me feel so sad. I was like, oh my God, like, how could you do that?
And so, what's your plan for the rest of the set champs? Because it's sort of 3 more weekends. Have you got more set champs lined up?
So I've got a 4-month-old. So the only way I was able to come to chance was because my friend actually came and just grabbed me in the morning. He was like, "I'm just gonna come drive you," so which was really nice from him. So I'm gonna try to do maybe 1 or 2. I'll probably do the one that's very local to me. They're like refurbishing at the moment, so we don't have a set date. And then I'll try to do Brotherhood because I've been going there probably over 10 years now. I'd like to go to more places, but just time-wise, I think I'd just rather spend it with a little baby.
Nice,
awesome. Well, nice to know you've already got the mat. That's already in the bag.
It's easy to take it chilled for the rest of it when you've ordered one.
I literally grind it for the mats every set champs. Like, that's my thing. So I've got like a championship one from every single one apart from the Scar, just because the Scar, when it was released, my baby was pretty much just being born and my missus was like pregnant, sort of that phase, and I was like, I can go to 1 set champs and that's it. I didn't manage to get it, but every other one I've gotten, and I just sort of keep it for collection. And I'm obviously going to try and encourage my kid to be into Disney, and they can like look back at that sort of stuff. So yeah, hopefully they're into Disney. Otherwise, it's a complete waste of time. Yeah, if they are, it'll be something cool. They can be like, oh my God, like Dad won this and stuff like that. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's so cool. And as you say, Disney's such a magical franchise to appeals to so many people on so many levels. So yeah, it's we both obviously share this journey with family members, and that's just such a real joy, whether it be collecting the cards or actually it's had me sit down and watch some Disney movies that I've missed out on actually, and then as we've done that, obviously I play with my granddaughter who's 10, so there's some Disney things that she's not heard of, or that were before her time, and they've come up and it's like, come on, let's sit down and watch that together. So
Oh, nice. That's really sweet. Yeah, I'm planning on taking that sort of same journey. So yeah, it's nice to hear like other dads going through the same thing. I think the other day we sat down and watched Moana 1 because the baby hadn't seen it. Bear in mind she's only 3 months old. But we wanted to watch Moana 2, and me and my missus was like, well, we can't do that until she's seen Moana 1. And then, yeah, because of set champs, we watched Big Hero 6 as well. So yeah, that was like really cool. But
Yeah, nice.
Awesome. And you're on social media, so where can people follow you and find out a bit more about you?
I'm gonna try and post a bit more, especially like even like local, just because Brotherhood's so competitive. I feel like it's worth it. But my Twitter is Kovu_Poggies. Don't judge me, please. Yeah, literally just thought of it before I posted the post. And then I also stream on Twitch when I can. So it's just Kovu, so Kovu, and then __ LOL. And yeah, if I'm streaming, you can catch me on there. Feel free to backseat game me, tell me I'm misplaying all the time. I take it as constructive criticism. But yeah, just stop in and say hi if you see me on there as well.
Nice. We'll leave the links below for everyone, so feel free to check them out. And yeah, well, I think that's pretty much it. So, congratulations again for your win, and thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, cheers. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, thanks to Ade for his time there. I hope you took some value out of that because I think there were some great tips. I was scribbling some notes because I still don't know what to play on Saturday, but I feel that I've got a few tips there that might make me able to wrestle a Blurple deck. You never know.
Yeah, it's definitely like I say, it's a very powerful deck, and there's some nice text in there. There's some there's some cards in there that do some serious work. So yeah, you never know. I might try it. So going on from there, we have obviously Lorecast was this week, and we had some news. Now the biggest news to come out of Lorecast, which is what's going to affect the game most coming up in the future, is obviously the announcement of rotation. Now, this is not a small thing, is it? Really? I say this isn't something I've been through before. You were correct with your prediction that it would end with Ursula's. So maybe Baker was right with the whole no cards going forward with Shimmering Skies in the starter deck. So. But yeah, it seems so basically for anyone who hasn't seen this, I'm sure everyone has, but just a very quick recap. When Fabled comes out, which they are calling year 3 of Lorcana, mainly because it's every 4 months, so you get 4 sets in a year. This actually comes out in September, so when we say year 3, it's not going to be January. It's basically run as a school year. So think of it as that. So Jafar's going to be the last bit as you go on summer holidays, and then Fable's at the start of the new school year. So when Fable does come out, we will be losing the first 4 from normal core competitive play. There is going to be another format that you can play all these. Obviously, you can still play them at home with friends. Deck theme events, stuff like that will all be fine. But in core constructed, they will be taken out. And then from there, you'll have set 10, 11, 12, and then when we hit 13, the next 4 will disappear. Unfortunately, that does mean we don't get Jafar for as long as we would like. But, I haven't been through this before, so for me, I'm a bit sort of like, what's going on? But, for anyone who has been through TCGs and rotation, apparently it's a very good thing for the game, and it will help develop the game over time. So it's one of those ones of it seems scary, but it's all good. It's all good for the long run. So
yeah, I think it'll have everyone scrabbling around for a couple of weeks, trying to work out what to play, and a few players will obviously feel it more because there will be certain decks that I'm sure that will suddenly be like, I can't really play that deck anymore. I have to change quite substantially. But I'm sure there'll be decks that won't change too much, actually. They've said that they're going to reprint some of the cards from the first 4 sets in Fabled.
I think it's going to be roughly 50% of Fable is going to be reprints.
Right.
So we're looking at roughly 16 a colour, roughly. We reckon somewhere around there. So out of these 4, so roughly 4 from each colour from each set, roughly. Obviously, it's not going to be that. You could end up 1 from one and 5 from another, but it's going to be on average roughly 4 from each colour from each set is going to end up in Fabled. They're basically going to reprint it with the number changed at the bottom. So instead of set 1, 2, 3, or 4, it will say set 9. Apart from that, there'll be no other change. So the art's going to stay the same and everything else. So it's an easily recognisable card. So yeah, it's one of those ones of, for me, that sort of cemented that I'm going to keep my stuff, because I was arming and ahhing whether to sell it. And then I'll just get the Fabled stuff. So like if it's a new art, I'll just get the new Fabled stuff. But due to the fact it's going to be the same art, I'd rather just keep the ones I've got. And if anything, it makes Fabled slightly cheaper for me.
It makes it an interesting one, doesn't it? I think if you're a fairly new player to the game, I think it is absolutely awesome. You can go full in on Fabled, and pick up some of these staples that you may have not had access to. I think if you've been around and collecting throughout, it's a bit of a weird set. I mean, it's only one set, so in the life cycle of Lorcana, that's not maybe that big a deal, but it will be. It might give some people some questions over how much product they buy, if half of it is going to be potentially cards that they already own. And I think a lot of people thought the artwork might be different. I thought it was quite interesting what they said about that, and that made a lot of sense to me. So what they said was, people recognise the cards, and they do, right? When we're playing, someone puts "Be Prepared" down on the table, you don't look and read it and see, does that say "Be Prepared"? You just know the card. And so they said, it could cause confusion if you've got multiple versions of the card. If people know the cards, they know the cards. You can just get on and play with these cards coming out in Fable. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But obviously, we want to draw shiny new stuff that we haven't got, rather than cards that we've already got in other sets. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether, I'm guessing the new style of foiling going to carry across. So technically, you do have the new style of foiling on the new cards. So, but yeah, they're not silly. Obviously, anyone that does the normal and you still want to pick up your case or your 2 cases, or you're someone who really enjoys opening the packs and hunting for those cards, you're going to have something new to hunt for anyway. So we're going to have in Fabled, to start with, is the new collector set coming out, which includes a very nice Tinkerbell promo. But the main thing is the new rarities coming within Fabled. So not only will we be having the reprints, we will also get 2 new rarities. One of them is Epic, which is this one here. Epic will be in between Legendary and Enchanted. So it's going to be more rare than your Legendary cards, but not as hard to find as Enchanted. So some people are saying maybe 1 every other box. Potentially, maybe 1 a box. Because you can get 5 or 6 Legendaries from a box. So maybe we're going to start getting 1 Epic a box. And then going on from there, the big one, which a lot of people will be hunting down, is the new Iconic cards. In Fabled, there is only going to be 2. There are only 2 Iconics, which is Mickey and Minnie. It is from the art of the set. So you got Mickey here on one side, and then Minnie was on the other side of the carousel. They are going to be the 2, and they are going to be more difficult to find than Enchanted. At the minute, no one knows the numbers. They're talking about potentially up in 500 to 1,000 packs. Wow. So it's like really, really hard to find.
And these have the foiling done in a similar way to the Golden Mickey, I understand. So
yes, I can't remember what they called it now, but it was something. Basically, if you've seen a Golden Mickey at all, it's going to have the same sort of print layout, the same sort of foiling as that. So it's a next level from Enchanted. It's completely separate. Apparently, obviously from the stream, the card does look amazing, and I'm sure it will. So yeah, be interesting to see if any of us are lucky enough to get one of these. I don't think they're going to be easy to find.
No.
They're
Think
going to
anyone's
be
going
a
to be
very sought after
playing a
card.
play set?
Oh, can you imagine?
Playing a play set in your deck?
Can you imagine? The card is rubbish. You know, it doesn't matter how bad it is. If you slap this down, I'm just conceding. I ain't playing against that. It's like, just pick it up, put it in top loader, please. Yeah, it was a good one. So obviously they're coming with Fabled, which will obviously help people decide whether they want to be opening packs or not, which I'm sure a lot of people will. And then also from the same release, we did get we got a couple of the reprints, but one of the biggest ones, which I think most people are excited about, is the Maleficent Dragon. So, Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, sorry. Which is obviously currently in set 1. It's a very playable card. Not so much play recently, but I think that's just because a lot of decks are very quick, so therefore 9-ink's hard to hit at a minute. But as this is going to be a set champs card for Fabled, it's going to be a very, very busy set champs, and it's a very, very nice looking card. So yeah, that is definitely one of the confirmed reprints. The other two that we know of is Rockstar Stitch, Rockstar Stitch, Tinkerbell, and Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard. Are the 4 that we currently know. We also had the news that we've all been waiting for, which Worlds has been confirmed. We finally have a confirmation for the Worlds players, and that is on... Should have written this date down.
Last weekend in June.
There we go. So yeah, it was...
27th and 28th.
Somewhere around there, yeah. So it's basically going to be in a couple of months, which is quite scary. I thought it was going to be quite a way away. Actually, May is next month.
Yep.
That's even more scary. But yeah, so that unfortunately, obviously, as we said before, we didn't quite qualify for Worlds. We just missed out. So, you know, but we have been told that we do have a chance that you can actually earn this promo for yourself. So
this is such a gorgeous promo. Yeah, I must admit, when I saw this, I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, but didn't take much more notice of that because I thought, well, that's, you know, clearly only going to the players kind of thing. But yeah, so the announcement that we are going to have an opportunity to get our hands on this, just amazing piece of Disney art. And I mean, I love Aladdin anyway. As a film, that's very exciting. So
yeah,
we don't know yet how we're gonna
to get
it.
There's been a little bit of speculation about it. They've said you can earn this card, so it's going to be a non-foil version. So it's not going to be the foil version that the players get, but it'll be the non-foil version, a bit like the set champs cards that everyone's seeing at the minute. Still, lovely card. And they're saying you can earn it by watching the World's production.
Right.
Watching the World's basically play. That's going to be played on Twitch. So the only way I can think of is that they use Twitch drops. Now, anyone that doesn't know about Twitch drops, it's used quite a lot in quite a lot of big video game stuff where you watch for a certain amount of time and you unlock something. So, argument's sake, we'll pick a big game in a minute, we'll say Marvel Rivals. If you watch 4 hours of Marvel Rivals, you unlock a skin for the game, for instance. That's quite easy to do because it's an online easy transaction. You get a code, you put it in somewhere else, you get your skin. Or you connect your Rivals account to your Twitch account. When you hit a certain amount, you press claim and it does it for you. How they're going to be able to get a piece of cardboard to you is a different matter. So I think it's going to be along the lines of potentially you link an email address or something like that, and they do it. Or one that I thought about earlier today.
And go to your locals or something.
See, I did think that. One that I did think of today. What if it now links to the new website?
Ooh.
is your Twitch drop's going to link to the new website. Therefore, you're physically linked to it, which will stop people making loads of Twitch accounts because you'll also need a player account.
Right.
And then from there, you'll be able to get a code, and you take that code to your local game store to get your card. So I think, I could be wrong, but that's the way I think it's
if you're
be.
planning a watch party, you're thinking end of June, sun's going to be out, we'll have a barbecue, get people round, we'll watch the Worlds. You've all got to also have it running on your phone.
If you want this card, you're all going to have it on your own phone, yeah.
So get everyone together, but all sit in different rooms. And make sure you get...
Have it on one big screen, and then everyone else can just have it on mute in the corner. That's all good. But yeah, we don't know how long. Obviously, it's going to be a long day, and I'm guessing it's going to be over 2 days. It is over 2 days. So it might only be you have to watch 2 hours. If you have to watch 2 hours of a stream over 2 days, it's quite easily done. And I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to be watching it anyway. Everyone wants to know who the very first world champion is going to be, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't feel like a hardship to watch the very best players in the world playing the game that we love. So, I can't wait. Really looking forward to see that. As you say, seeing somebody get crowned as the first Disney Lorcana world champion. I mean, that's going to be absolutely massive. And I'm sure they will put on a fantastic production that will be worthy of Disney.
We also had... one of our other predictions was correct. So we said about worlds, we said about rotations, and then I said one thing which I was pretty sure on, but I wasn't 100%, is that we always know the next 2 sets.
Yeah,
and we did. So Jafar's coming out a couple of weeks' time, and now we know what the set is after Fabled, which will be the end of this year. September, October, November. It's going to be December. End of November. Is it end of November? September. No, I think it's December. It's December, January, I think.
Christmas stockings.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's wishes
lower on your list than the Uninkable Dads merchandise.
Oh yeah.
So remember,
get the figures first.
You need to be buying the figures first, and then you buy your Whispers in the Well product.
Yeah.
And this is the one that Black Cauldron is in, or have I got that wrong?
I think so. I'm 90% sure. So, yeah. So we do now know the next set afterwards. So yeah, we'll be waiting for the next Lorecast, which hopefully won't be too long. We might hear a little bit more about this one once Jafar's out.
Well, we're going to get weekly Lorecasts now, aren't we?
Are we?
So yes, yeah. So that's what they said. They're going to do weekly news and communication, which I think is something that everybody is, was keen.
Yeah, definitely.
To have
from communication, we have got a couple of spoiler cards, but there's loads out there at the minute. We're not going to go through all of them.
Before we get to the spoiler cards, though, there was a non-announcement that I think was possibly the biggest announcement.
Okay.
So they announced Worlds.
Yeah.
But we're also told challenges before the end of this year. So it wasn't really... It was weird because it didn't really come out as an announcement, did it? It was just sort of mentioned that...
Yeah, it was just like hot dropped in there,
Yeah, it was. I think they were talking about. They were talking about the Infinity format. I think, weren't they? And said, these will be part of the challenges, which will be later this year. Which to me was like the biggest piece of news that as
it's got to be after.
We're not going to Worlds. So. We're not going to Worlds. So for us, that's the pinnacle of our competitive Lorcana this year. Worlds might be next year. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, really excited to hear that we're going to get those this year. We're not going to have to wait until next year for it.
So yeah, there's loads of reveals out there at the minute, and I'm just going to cover a couple that jumped out at me today. They're nothing like overly powerful stated. I decided to go with interesting. So we actually have some of the continuous arts coming back, which is, I love these. I love the continuous art cards. I think they're so clever. And yeah, this is one of them. I've got 2 to share today. Yeah.
I still think there should be a rule that, if you can get the continuous art down during a game, you like game 5 lore or something. I think
Yeah.
yeah, they look awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's turn 2, 3, and 4, so it's possible. It's not like they're all 4 costs, so yeah. And then the other one, I love the lasers in this. This is like the snake lasers.
Yeah, I like the way that from the cards that we've seen revealed so far, the theme of the set is really running through the art in the cards.
Yeah.
It seems to be sort of maybe more strongly than we've seen in previous sets. I really like that.
Mm. And then the other one is this one here, which I just found hilarious. So,
Very cool.
Yeah, like I say, nothing. Not the next meta breaking card, but it was cards that made me laugh, and I thought, nah, we need to cover those. So yeah, we will bring you some potentially next week of our maybe 2 each of our favourite ones that have come out. We'll pick one art and one play. So maybe one of our favourite art ones and one that we really like for potential meta play. So yeah, they were a couple of the reveals for Jafar. And then the last piece of news we had that we want to share is, as Set Champs is going on at the minute, the Jafar Set Champs card. So this is going to be the Set Champs for 8. So yeah, that was the news from Lorecast. So we will bring you a couple bits here and there throughout the weeks. Especially if they're going to be doing them weekly, you never know. We might be able to actually cover what they've done on the Lorecast. But yeah, it was a good one. We got the information we wanted. We got the information that we thought we may get. So yeah, I think it was a good, well done production, and I think they covered a lot and given us quite a lot of answers and a lot to think about over the next 4 months. Because it's not just Jafar. We are talking about Fabled and Rotation as well. So, yeah, it's made me think I need to look at what I'm going to do with my collection and find a new way of storing it, because those set 1 to 4's got to come out of the binders. They've got to find a home in a nice dustproof trove somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you are thinking about updating your binder collection or buying some more storage, obviously hop over to VaultX. If you use code Uninkable at checkout there, you'll get 10% discount. So you save yourself a bit of money and get yourself something shiny and new to put all those new cards in.
I see. I led you on to that perfectly, eh? It's like I teed it up. So we will move on to the last bit of our podcast for today, which is the flavor text game. So last week, our flavor text was 3 wishes coming right up. That seems very topical now, doesn't it? You say it's almost like we planned it, So that was the magical card that is Finders Keepers. Now, when I did this last week and chose this card, I thought it's been in today's episode. It's a good card. I didn't expect it to get talked about on this episode quite as much as it has. So that's worked out really nicely. So yeah, it's Finders Keepers, which obviously draws you 3 cards. So moving on from that, we will give you our flavor text for this week. Is a hint I'll give you. It's been in today's episode again. And the flavor text is, he'll be out of this in a snap. So who do you think that is? Drop us a comment below, hit us up on any of our socials, or drop us an email and we will give you a shout out. So yeah, he'll be out of this in a snap. Let us know below. So I think that is everything for this week, unless there's anything you want to bring up.
No, I think it's been a really, really good one. There was so much stuff to talk about. We had to kind of pick and choose. So tune in next week as well, because we've got more stuff. We might have a look at some spicy deck lists that we didn't get to today. So yeah, what an exciting week it's been. So yeah, let us know in the comments. Have you seen any reveals that you think are particularly worthy? Let us know. Let us know what you think to the announcements. Obviously, rotation, we've discussed it a bit here. It's the big subject that everyone's talking about. But let us know in the comments. And are you excited to be playing in the DLCs again before the end of the year. So yeah, do let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, definitely. So as always, it's time to wrap up those playmats
Pack away the dice.
and stay uninkable.
We'll
See you next time. That was actually perfectly in sync.
It was. There we go.